What we'll cover today, so we're going to give you an overview of the AdSense activation process. What are the steps required? We're then going to look at how to get activated using WordPress and other content management systems, because we've got a few questions already on that. We're also then going to look at common questions publishers have when getting activated, and then we'll look to answer your questions at the end of the Hangout. So thanks for submitting those, and feel free to submit more throughout the Hangout. We'll try to get through as many at the end of the Hangout as possible.
Yes. So let's just kick on. So actually, the AdSense sign-up flow is very easy and it's quite straightforward. It consists of 3 steps. The first step is where you provide your website and accept the terms and conditions of AdSense. And then once you move on from that, you will need to find your ad code and paste it within the head tag of your website. And then once the coding is also done, your website will be reviewed by our specialists for approval, and then you will hear back from them within the 48 hours. So I would like to go more in depth of these steps just to give you more of an overview. So the AdSense sign-up process. The first page you will see is the page that you can see on the left side. So you will need to put the URL of your website. Here, it's quite important that you don't use subdomains, you use the main domain of your website, and then whatever email you would like to use for AdSense. And also, if you would like us to send you some performance suggestions or some other emails that might improve your usage of AdSense, you can sign up for the customized help and for performance suggestions emails. So just a quick note here, if you don't have your own website, but you have a blog or you use another provider to host your content, it is important that you sign up for AdSense from their platform rather than signing up directly from this side. So if you are using Blogger, please make sure you go to the settings and sign up for AdSense from there. And also, similarly, if your content is on YouTube, Blogger, or platform like Wix, you'll need to sign up to AdSense within them as well. So it's not possible to sign up to AdSense with a subdomain, just like news.example.com. You will need to use your main domain, which would be example.com. So please take these into consideration while you are going through the steps here. So once, let's say you filled out this form and you said save and continue, you will come up with the Google sign-in process. So there you will again put your email address that you want to use and your password to be able to verify which email you will be moving forward. So obviously it can happen that you forget your email address or your password, just like you would do on a normal case. You can follow the forget email instructions and get your email address or password through the help. So very important here, we see it quite often that when people are registering for a Google account, they don't put their date of birth. And without a date of birth, valid date of birth, you won't be able to use AdSense. So if you see an error like that, please go and update your date of birth through myaccount.google.com so that you can move on with signing up to AdSense. And then also AdSense is not possible to be used if you're below 18. So if you're below 18, you wouldn't be able to sign up to AdSense yourself. You need to be over 18. However, you can have your legal guardian and you can sign up to AdSense through their email address, and then they will be the ones who will be getting paid for your account. So what did we do? We put our website. We also went through the Google account registration. And the third step is the billing details. So the billing details are very important because, first of all, it tells us who you are. And also, it gives us the address and the information for the person who will be owning the account. So there are 2 account types. One is individual and one is business. So it doesn't really impact the payment structure or the level of service. But if you are an individual, please select individual, or if you are opening this AdSense account for your business, please select it business. In that case, your payments will be sent to a bank account that's under your company name, but there's no difference with regards to the level of service you will be getting. And also, please ensure the country and the contact information are correct, because let's say you are based in country X, but then you made a mistake and opened your AdSense account through company Y. It is not impossible, but it is quite difficult to change your country, and also you mightn't be able to get paid for your earnings that you accumulated in the wrong country. So please beware when you are putting the address details to put all the information very correctly. So one other step that we have here is your phone PIN. Here it's just quite important to put the right phone number, because if you don't put the right phone number, you will never actually receive the text message or the voice call that will be sent to you for verification, and you won't be able to complete your sign-up process. So please make sure you put your right phone number here. So actually, if you've already verified your phone number in the past, you mightn't necessarily need this step. So once that you are done with the phone PIN as well, you have actually created your account successfully. And next we'll be looking at how to get your account activated and how to get the ads start serving. So here, Stephen will take it over.
Yeah, so I'm going to take you through how to get the account activated. We're going to look at how to put the code on the website, because I know this can be a little bit tricky for some of you. I've seen that in some of the questions. So I want to take you through that, and hopefully this will help explain the process a little bit better, make it easier for you to understand. So when you actually get into your AdSense account, the first kind of prompt that you see is to place the ad code on the page. And I suppose that it's super important that you take this ad code and you place it within the HTML of your site. And when you place it in the HTML of your site, what that's going to do essentially is it allows us to review your site, but it also allows you to use our new type of ads, which is auto ads. This uses machine learning to determine the best type of ad formats and ad placements on your page. So it's super important that you place this code within the head tag of your HTML site. And then once you've actually pasted the code into your site, it's important that you select the tick box down to the left-hand side, and that lets us know actually the code is on the page. We can then go and review that. So as I mentioned, it's important that you place the code within the head tag, but it's also important that you place it across every page of your site that you want to show ads. A lot of potential publishers, I suppose, miss this. They might only put the HTML tag on their homepage. It's important that you put it on every single page that you want your ads to show. And ideally, when we look at it, when you put the code onto the page, and if you don't want ads to show straight away once you've been approved, it's important that you uncheck this box, which is on the bottom left, that says show ads as soon as my account is activated. You might have different reasons for that. You might want to kind of validate your ads before they actually go live. So just ensure that you untick this box. So a common kind of issue that we run into is that sometimes we're actually unable to locate the code on the site. And there's a number of different reasons for this. And one of the big reasons is that the website that you've actually given us is not the website that the code is on. And it might seem like a very trivial mistake, but it just makes it very difficult for us to verify. So you see here, there's an opportunity to edit your site. This is the only opportunity to edit your site. So just make sure that where you've placed the code, that's the actual site the code is on. This is important, I suppose, if you have redirects. So, for example, if your site is abc.com, abcd.com, and when someone goes there, your actual content, they get redirected to a different website, and that's where your content is hosted, that's where you should be actually putting as your URL. So that's what we'll go and check. So it's important that you make it, we're able to locate it. The other key thing that makes it difficult for us to locate the code is that if your website doesn't allow us to crawl it. So you've actually prevented Google from crawling your website in what's known as the robots.txt file. We're unable to know that your site is live, and sometimes you'll get an error saying unable to find site, or site is not active, and this can actually be a result of it because we're unable to find that code. So I suppose there's a couple of things that are super important there. Number one, make sure the code is within the head tag. Make sure the code is within every page that you want to show ads on. It's in the head tag there. It's on the correct website, and you obviously have full access to that website. So I'm going to jump into the AdSense activation on WordPress, because I know from a lot of your comments, a lot of you use WordPress. So I think it'd be good to kind of cover off how we might do this in WordPress. And to be honest, you have two options with WordPress in terms of how to get ads on AdSense on your WordPress site. So the first one that we kind of the recommended way is to use a plugin to insert the code. So there's a variety of different plugins you can use that these plugins allow you make changes to the header of your site. We've listed some on the right hand side. So Genesis Themes is one of the larger themes on WordPress, and they have some built-in functionality to use WordPress and get the code on the site. But then there's also plugins such as Insert Headers and Footers plugin, Advanced Ads plugin, and the Ad Inserter plugin. The other way of activating on WordPress is placing the code through your WordPress theme settings, and we see quite a number of publishers do this, but it's not actually a recommended way of doing it, because if your publisher of the theme updates the theme and it's put out there, that can overwrite what you've done. So the ads can sometimes go off the page if there's an update to that theme. So the recommended way is to use a plugin to add on the HTML code within the head tag. And we've actually created a detailed link to kind of take you through this process. So you'll see you can access the link in that short URL in the bottom right hand corner, which kind of explains the steps within WordPress. So there's another couple of content management systems that I've seen come in the question. So I'm just going to touch on those so you're all familiar if it's possible to use them. So the two are Squarespace and Joomla. So I'll take Squarespace firstly. So the good news is you can use AdSense on Squarespace, but it looks like you can only use it when you've signed up to one of their paid plans. So you'll need to use the code injection functionality in order to place the AdSense code within the header of your site. And they've actually created a detailed help center link on this Go link at the bottom. So that's on their help center. They'll update it regularly with the steps if their interface changes. So we recommend, if you have a Squarespace site, follow the instructions on that URL. And similar with Joomla. So with Joomla, you're actually able to insert custom HTML code onto your page. And the AdSense code needs to be placed within these custom modules. So Joomla, thankfully, have also some detailed instructions on how to do this within their support documentation. Again, I've linked to them in the bottom here. If you go to there, it'll give you quite detailed instructions if you are on the Joomla content management system. Suppose just to wrap up on kind of other content management systems, the good news is if you have a pure HTML site, you can easily copy the HTML to the website. But we also do work with a lot of CMSs. We've touched on some of them here. We've touched on WordPress. We've touched on Joomla, we've touched on Squarespace, and we touched on Wix, which actually has an integration where you can actually, if you have a Wix website, you can actually sign up directly within Wix for AdSense. So there's a number of different options to help get you activated. So now what we're going to do is we're going to touch on some common questions that we see with AdSense, and I know Eski's going to go through those.
Yeah, so the first very big pitfall that we see is the account upgrade issues. So I've actually mentioned those briefly, but if you're currently monetizing on YouTube or Blogger, you can apply for an upgraded account to start earning from your website. However, as we mentioned, if you want to have AdSense account to monetize your YouTube or Blogger content, you will need to apply for AdSense through those platforms. And then once you're happy with those and you want to expand your earnings to the website that you have, you can apply for an upgrade. And then your upgrade will be reviewed within 48 hours, and then we'll let you know about the result. And also, please don't forget to complete the upgrade application form within your account, as we will be sending you the deck. We've also integrated the link here, so you will be able to find the full upgrade instructions. And also, please make sure once you are doing that, as Stephen mentioned earlier, add the code to all URLs that are compliant with our policies. So do not only add the code to your homepage, please make sure you add the code to all URLs that you think are compliant with AdSense policies. And also, the second most common pitfall that we see is people have difficulties even in the very first step of the sign up, which was where you have to put your website. They get an error. This URL cannot be used to sign up for AdSense. So there might be a few reasons why this is happening. First of all, you need to be aware that there might be a time restriction for your website. Sometimes the team who is reviewing the site looks at when the site was created, how recent is the content. So please make sure that your site has been active for at least 6 months. And then also, you cannot try to sign up with website abcd.com, but then your actual website is ABC. So please make sure you're not doing any typos or putting a wrong website while trying to sign up for AdSense. And also, again, as Stephen mentioned, sometimes your site is not crawlable, so our bots cannot really go and see if the site actually exists or what kind of content is inside. So please make sure you allow the AdSense bots to come and see the content with regards to robots.txt. And also, if your site is currently being monetized by a different AdSense account, or if your site has been used for upgrades within a short-term period, or if your site was actually using AdSense and had a policy issue and isn't allowed to serve ads at the moment, you won't be able to sign up to AdSense with that. So there are quite a few things that you need to be careful, but please make sure you visit our help center if you get this error as well, just to see the details further. And also, moving on, thank you very much for submitting questions before and during our presentation. So, Stephen, we've received some questions that I would like to mention.
Okay, brilliant.
One thing that we received quite a lot is, how long does the activation usually take?
Activation process can take 48 hours. That's for the time our team needs to kind of review the content and make sure your content is compliant with our policies. There's enough content there, and you abide by all of those policies as appropriate content. But there is cases where it can take that little bit longer. We briefly touched on it. If your site isn't crawlable, if our system can't actually go out and review the content for the initial review, then that can add to that time. There's also where it can kind of drag on a little bit as well, as if your site is, how to describe it, if you haven't given us that correct URL, or so, it's difficult for us to actually go out and see if that is compatible. So it's key that you place the code on all the pages correctly in order for us to actually be able to be as efficient as possible with that approval process. But generally, to round off, generally most accounts are approved within 48 hours.
That's great, thank you. There's another question that I would like to take on. What if I sign up to AdSense with a wrong address? So, as I mentioned, your address is very important for us because your currency will be dependent on that, and we will know who you are according to the information you give to us. And if you actually register to AdSense using a wrong address, or you might even have moved within countries as well, it happens. So in that case, we will be able to assist you to change your address of the account, but you have to have a valid payment method in the initial country to be able to receive the payments, the earnings that you gathered. So as an example, let's say I am living in Ireland at the moment, and I sign up to AdSense from here, and then I move to the US. So all the earnings that I accumulate during my time in Ireland will need to pay paid to the valid Irish payment method. So I cannot really transfer my earnings to US. So while you're signing up, it's very important that you do use the country that you're really based in, because otherwise you might have a chance to lose the earnings if you don't have a valid payment account in the country that you signed up from. So I guess that kind of concludes. If there are any other questions, feel free to direct them. But these were the questions that we've received so far. And yeah.
Yeah, as Ezgi mentioned, we'll be sharing the full recording with you guys after today's session, and we'll also be sharing the deck with you as well, so you can actually take some time to read those links that we called out. Yeah. And again, we might even put in some sections on those questions that people asked, just to make it a little bit more useful. But thanks so much everyone for taking the time to join. We really appreciate it. And as Ezgi had mentioned, if you want to join further hangouts where we kind of get into the weeds and how to actually use AdSense, how to really grow your revenue with AdSense, you can sign up on the link below. But we'll include this in the deck that we share. But once again, thanks so much, and we'll send on that feedback form over the next couple of days. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody.